A very warm welcome to today's virtual event. Our topic today is AI at Scale, Blueprint for Data Center Innovation, co-hosted by ISMG and Sify Technologies. I'm Yamini Kalra. I'm a Senior Associate Editor here at ISMG, and I'm thrilled to be your moderator for the next 1 hour. Thank you for joining us as we explore one of the pressing challenges for the IT and ITeS industries today. It's how to keep up with the demands of AI workloads through next generation data center innovation. Now we are seeing AI transform the enterprise landscape, whether it's Gen AI reshaping knowledge work, real-time analytics, powering business decisions, or machine learning embedded across customer journeys. You're all from this industry. I know I can assure that you'll all be nodding your heads right now. But this shift is compute intensive, energy demanding, and unforgiving in terms of uptime. And traditional infrastructure can no longer keep pace. That's why future-ready data centers must be agile, they must be sustainable and engineered for AI-native workloads, hybrid cloud environments, and edge deployments. So on that note, we'll begin with a presentation from Sify Technologies, after which we'll dive into a thought leadership panel discussion featuring industry leaders and Sify experts. Finally, we'll take your questions before closing. In the meantime, if you have questions, please drop them in the Q&A box, and during the duration of our event today, if we can, we'll try to address as many as we can. But before we move ahead, we have a quick poll question for all our attendees just to help us get to know you a little better. Can we have it on the screen for a few seconds, please? All right, so we would love to know where your organization is in its AI adoption journey. There are a couple of options there. Just exploring use cases, piloting AI models, scaling in production, already running large-scale AI workloads, or not started yet. There's no wrong answer. Please let us know where your organizations are at this point. I hope all of you can see the poll question on your screens. You just have to click on which choice is the most relevant for your organization. Okay, so I can see we have a very good mix and almost an equal percentage of organizations that are just exploring use cases and those that are piloting AI models. We do not have organizations that are already running large-scale AI workloads. That means we have a lot of room for new innovations coming in. So thank you all for participating in this poll. And on that note, I let it take over to Amit and Sojan, our experts from Sify, who will go through a presentation. Over to you.
Hey, thanks, Yamini.
Thanks, Yamini. I'll just share my screen for the. Just let me know when it is visible. Is my screen visible?
Yes, Amit. Go ahead. So while Amit sets up his screen, let me just quickly share what their roles are. Amit Anil Bhatt, he's the Director of Business Development Data Center Services at Sify, and he's joined by Sojan Joy, who is the Vice President, Product and Solutions Head, Data Center Services at Sify.
Yeah. While I should have been the first presenter, the screen is taking me directly to the Sojan's slide. So I have to scale it back. I am, hi everyone. I'm very happy to be presenting and discussing, interacting with you all on the topic AI at scale and blueprint for data center innovation. Specifically, to that audience who has brought in the adoption of AI into India. So more than 65% of AI adoption in India is being done through IT, ITeS, and GCC companies, and I'm really happy to be interacting with them, looking for a lot of insights, and looking to share my perspective, our company's perspective towards how the data center is helping with the underlying infrastructure on the revolution that is happening. So, with our interactions with the industry leaders, we understand that these are the priorities data center companies are addressing, and these are the priorities which the GCCs coming into India, GCCs setting up their shops in India, or ITES companies having their AI workloads getting into India. uh, so that is the preference in terms of the scalability and flexibility which is needed while maintaining the cost. So we have seen a lot of companies coming from on-prem setup to cloud setup, and coming back to as a cloud repartition, coming back to the data center setup. So that's a phenomenon which has been happening, and which is increasingly going to happen as we see right now, because the balance of maintaining the costs and ensuring that the capex is there, the least capex is there, working on an operational model to ensure the scalability is maintained. We also see that global connectivity is needed. Uh, the companies are required to be connected not only in within India. The entire ecosystem is needed to get them connected globally to their counterparts, to the global hubs, and to the remotest locations in India as well, to the end user. The data center should be AI and cloud ready. The entire ecosystem again should be enabling the companies to ensure that they can scale up, they can have the AI ready data center supporting their innovation, so that the companies can focus on the application layer instead of focusing on the underlying infrastructure layer. So that's what the GCC is coming into India, not just for transactional support nowadays. It is, they are supporting innovation. They are bringing innovation into India. So with that in mind, the foundation of a data center supporting this revolution, specifically for ITES companies, we think that the infrastructure should be AI ready. So it's not only reactive uh, response. It should be proactive in thinking that how we can support the the infrastructure which will be coming in future. So that's where we have ensured that data center should be ready with AI optimized power. The cooling should support, it should support the GPUs, TPUs, and the HPC environment which is coming through liquid cooling, through air cooling, and various aspects. We have seen that companies like till last few years, it was a norm to have 3 kilowatt per rack, and then companies struggle to have 8 to 10 kilowatts of density per rack. Now we have seen that it has gone to 20, 25 kilowatts, and further we are expecting it to go beyond 100 kilowatts, 130 kilowatts, 200 kilowatts. So the change which has happened in last few years, we are expecting the change will now happen at a very rapid growth with the AI workloads coming in. So that's where we need to be future ready. We need to be scalable enough, and we need to have modular designs. Companies having set up pods of 3 kilowatt per rack to 200 kilowatt per rack. It should be the data center should be able to support that in requirement. Along with it, with AI inferencing, AI training models, it is very pertinent for the companies to be closer to the business needs. So the data center should be available in the tier 2, tier 3 cities also, and the network should support the interconnectivity between the data centers, also the connectivity to the hyperscale clouds. Of course, sustainability is not just a buzzword now. It's a requirement which is discussed in every boardroom nowadays, and the data center should be aligned to support the sustainability targets of the companies. It should support the sustainability targets of the companies. And obviously, security compliance goes without saying. The SOC compliance should be there. The security is paramount now with the outburst of data available. Data security, physical security, and all the compliances, the data sovereignty requirements, all these requirements are a must and are the foundation of a future ready data centers. And that's what we bring on the table from Sify perspective. Obviously, we have been there into data center business, one of the first private ISPs in India, and we have been first data center companies in India, started in 2000. And for past 25 years, we have been, growing and fulfilling the customers' needs. Now, with the AI coming into picture, we have ensured that our modular designs are there to support the customers for at least next 10 to 15 years, and we'll keep on having that fundamental of being future ready. That is an operational model which we are following now. Just to give you the expanse, what we are in Mumbai, Chennai, Bangalore, Hyderabad. We are in Kolkata. We are also coming up with edge data centers in Lucknow and Chandigarh. Mumbai being the largest market, obviously the demand at Mumbai. So close to 300 megawatts is already under operations and under construction, and the expansion is also happening. So overall, we are set to be there, have a vertical and horizontal scalability for our customers across all the locations, across edge sites. What we are seeing right now, we are also adding 20 plus locations edge sites in the near future. So we are there to support all the scalability requirements of our companies. As I mentioned, we can support up to 200 kilowatts of density per rack. It used to, we need a complete data center in earlier days to support 200 kilowatts of 50, 75 racks of setup. Right now, we are enabled to have this kind of setup in a single rack. And these facilities available across all our next generation data centers in Mumbai, Noida, Chennai, and all our upcoming data centers in Bangalore, Hyderabad, and all other locations. Obviously, a data center in isolation is not useful for operations perspective. So that is where our unified focus on the connectivity, the interconnect system, and data center goes hand in hand, and which is a unique proposition what Sify can provide. So we have our own cable landing stations in Mumbai, Chennai. We have our gateways in Kolkata. We have our own NLT network across all these POPs, which you can see on the screen. That gives an edge for global connectivity as well as domestic connectivity for the enterprises which are there in our data center. Apart from this, we can ensure a committed minimum latency to all the all the leading cloud service providers. So we are promoting a hybrid environment wherein customers do have some workloads on multi-cloud. Still, they can connect seamlessly on a LAN-like network to our data centers. Also, we are promoting that the interconnectivity between the global offices. We commit a least latency across all our data centers in India. We are global command centers, obviously highly dependent, highly resilient, and highly dependent on AI functionalities, which helps customers to ensure that we do a proactive risk mitigation and prevent downtime. Downtime nowadays is like even a single second of downtime is not possible. That's where we are there to, comfort the customer that you take care of your application layer, and we are there to support you on the underlying infrastructure, be it connectivity, or be it availability, or cooling or power. Other important perspective is the compliance and certifications. We are also mighty empaneled, so all any of your projects you are working for government, we have mighty empanelment, and you can run those workloads from our data centers. There is a lot of focus on security, as I mentioned. There's a lot of focus on sustainability through environmental management system, ISO 14001, IGBC, green building certifications. So it adds on to your setup. It adds on to your sustainability goals. So coming to the operational philosophy, we are committed to a 6 zeros commitment, whether be it in availability incidents, so it's zero availability incidents, no resiliency risk, no security incident, no safety incidents, zero defects, and obviously zero carbon footprint. I'll request Sojan to take it forward, and looking forward to interact with you during after this particular seminar, and also looking forward to have you hosted in our data centers. Yes,
Hey,
Sojan.
thanks. Hey, thanks, Amit. Thanks, really. Team. So what we have understood is typically we have had a glimpse of the overall requirements from or a market demand from a AI perspective, or from a high computing data centers infrastructure point of view. So today, what I would be more focusing on, more giving a glimpse of what exactly where is Sify heading into, how is we are ensuring that we are AI ready infrastructure, and where is it, what are the steps what we are taking into accountability, and what are the steps what each parameter which we are touch basing on. Amit, maybe the next slide. Yeah. So basically what we have understood is typically we have all the 4 parameters in the data center environment. Typically the power, the cooling, the network, and the server all. Due to this high computing demand of AI as well as high computing servers and coming into picture, this servers actually generate requests a lot of power requirements. The 3 kilowatt have now shooted to 130, 200 kilowatt of per average rack density. So imagine the power requirements from a computing perspective. Second is this all computing would generate a lot of heat. So in order to mitigate the heat, we need to have the sufficient cooling system. That is something which we have targeted. How we have mitigated the cooling environment, what are the steps which we have adapted to enable the AI infrastructure, as well as the infrastructure which can be scalable, flexible, and making sure it is expandable to demand that any customer, any hyperscaler or enterprise client can fit into the rule. Third is a network where each component has got a network element to it. So the lower the latency is better the AI computing which works on. They can't afford to have a single downtime. They can't have to have a latency or a delay in the entire networking cycle. So networking is a prime aspect of ensuring that the entire new infrastructure which is built, it is purely AI enabled network infrastructure. Last is the server all. We are ensuring that the server all is designed, or the entire floor or the pod is designed in a way that it can categorically take n number of multiple type of loads. Whether it is a kind of a low end which is still relying to the old 6 kilowatt per rack, or a 10 kilowatt rack, or a 20 kilowatt rack with multiple technologies. Okay, so in the same server all, you might have liquid cooling server enabled infrastructure. You can also have immersive cooling infrastructure, and at the same time we'll have an air cooled mechanism also. So we are building up an infrastructure, or we have already built up the infrastructure which can cater all these requirements within the single server all. The server also has to understand that typically when the demand of high computing is required, the weight of per rack is actually heavy loaded. So imagine the slab weight of the server rack. So the older racks which was approximately 150 or 200 kgs, now it is approximately reaching to 800 to 1000 kgs per rack. Now it more than that also, depending on the size of the rack and the capacity what you're pumping in. So our server is able to take up the load, or ensuring that the slab weight is accepting this load, and able to ensure that in future that can be scalable. Okay, covering to the next slide. So this is a typical flow where you see on the top bottom, which is basically how from a grid power substation to the entire rack, how is it been distributed, how from a redundant infrastructure, power infrastructure, how a single rack gets a dual power supply. So it is starting from the substation to the transformer to the switch gears to the UPS and the battery banks, and then to the rack PDUs. So in between there is a parallel backup mechanism, which is a diesel generator and the battery, which acts as a backup mechanism, and that also has to be redundant. So this was a typical data center architecture where we have ensured that there is a kind of a model where even though you will have multiple load infrastructure, you can actually cater. So if you see the bus bar, the colorful, the lines, what you see that is the bus bars, which is typically catering. So we have categorically ensure that each bus bar or each bars or each power modules can actually fit into the network modules. The right hand side is the network modules, and the 1, 2, and the 7, 8. So it can create a cluster modules where cluster could be a high density rack in one or two segment of cluster. The 7, 8 could be medium density cluster, and the lowest one would be the network cluster. So we have distributed this with a single with multiple power modules, which is coming up on the above the racks, and we are ensuring this all will be dual redundant power factored on this. And this individual power racks can actually reach up to 200 to 300 kilowatt per rack. Now, in between also, just on the upper slide itself, in between also we have thought of multiple redundant models. Now, if you the typical old model was the n+1, the n+2, and the n+n model. We have factored n+1 with a distributed redundancy model where 4n/3. Suppose there is 4n's required for any floor or anything. What we have factored, for every 4 there is an individual backup mechanism, backup n+4n/3. So for every 4 main requirement, there is a one additional requirement that is coming as a redundant model. So we have been learning lessons from all these hyperscalers which has been hosted in our premises, all the cloud players and the hyperscalers. So we're ensuring these practices have been followed, and we have deployed such kind of a power infrastructure for. Yeah, next slide. So cooling, what rightly we said that there is a platform which has been typically put for all these 3 areas. It starts from the air cooled mechanism, which is on the left hand side, where the air cooled chillers are typically been drawn to the liquid cooling, immersive cooling, as well as the direct to chip or rear door heat exchanger. Each function has got a different functionality. Typically, immersive is not that successful, but still we are able to match up. There are clients who has requested for immersive cooling requirement. So in a typical floor, we are able to suffice the liquid cool mechanism, immersive cooling mechanism, direct to chip, which is liquid cool. Third is the rear door heat exchanger. Rear door heat exchanger is only used based on the concept of air cooled mechanism itself, but it has got a high capacity which can be driven up to 85 kilowatt per rack. So this is used on specific cases where we have a live case with 1 or 2 POC cases with one of the banks also. We have a live cases which is demo, and this is already running in the system. Direct to chip, we are the first NVIDIA partner where a certified partner. We have also done certification for design for liquid cooling infrastructure. So we are the only data center infrastructure company who has been liquid cooled NVIDIA certified, where we are ensuring that any NVIDIA GPUs you bring into the co-location hosting area, we will be able to factor it, and we will be able to suffice all what add-on features which is NVIDIA has been featuring on. Liquid cooled immersive, as we rightly said, it is basically a specialized immersive cooling, and we have factored based on dielectric liquid, and that has been a case. It was one of the client which has been requested. So in a nutshell, what we're trying to say is that we have all these cooling technologies which can enable the AI infrastructure readiness for any type of customer, and scalable and futuristic. Third. Okay. Coming to the server hall, as we said, there is multiple windows in this. Typically, the blue colors, what you see on the middle one, those are racks. So typically on the corners, there will be PDUs, there will be CD units. So it has got a mixed flavor of the CD units, which is typically catering the liquid cooling infrastructure, liquid cooling racks. There is also enable for immersive cooling piping, which has been done for this specific segment of racks. There is third segment which has been typically categorized for RDHX kind of thing, railroad heat exchanger kind of a racks. So all this has been factored in the single server hall, and the power units, the UPS battery rooms, and all those things will be classified in all corners of this room. And this has been factored, making sure the server hall has been designed to a scalable infrastructure with multiple client model or a single hosting client model. Okay. As also been said, we can build up clusters, and we have classically segregated those empowerment for cluster-based rack units, so that the cluster can be paced based on the individual position of the rack from a client's perspective. Networking, this is something which is very crucial for our segment. What we've ensured, since we have been the pioneer of network since 25 years, what we are saying that we are a fiber company which is purely dedicated not for a retail business, it's purely from a data center connectivity point of view. So pan across India, wherever a data center is hosting, we are well connected within the regions, and we have a lowest latency, which we have approved it. We have also factored many of the finance PFSI customers, which is hosted in our premises, which is basically factoring the network unit. So the lowest latency is because of the minimal POPs which has been available within the network. That is something which we have given as a value add. We have a reliable network access that has been ensuring from years on years. We have a cross connect, that is a part of the bundle solution which we typically give it. We have it. We not only ensure that any of our data center, it is not only Sify's network, we are a carrier neutral company which is allowing every carriers to operate within the premises. It is residing in the MMR room, and from the MMR room it is residing to the data hall. So we are ensuring a carrier neutral availability for all the customers. We are making sure the meet me room is basically specified for all these carrier companies, where these carriers have been terminated from the manual to the MMR room, and from the MMR to the individual data halls or to the individual rack itself. And the best part is that since all these hyperscalers, many of the hyperscalers, we are connected to all the hyperscalers which is hosted within the premises. So we have connection directly to the cloud players. So any customer who's hosted with us typically have got a well connection within the premises itself. So they are actually approaching via cross connect within the premises itself. So it becomes a direct cross connect to the client who's in need of a cloud exchange or a cloud like an AWS platform, or could be Azure platform, or it could be any of this Google platform or anything. So that is something which we have, and we are already an internet exchange on this. This gives a framework. Typically, what we say that BMS system, it is basically the brain of the data center, where the brain captures the entire has got to capture the entire dashboard of the entire data center facility, whether it is from the mechanical, electrical, plumbing units. So what we have done is we have built up an entire framework through AI mechanism. We have done a framework where it understands or it gets an alert, or it gets an information from all these hardware devices, which is typically the UPH units, the HVAC units, the electrical panels, everything. So it gathers or it collects all the information. There is another framework which is there. It captures and it stores in the database. At the same time, we have done some algorithm which is a digital twin, which produces a dashboard. At the same time, we have put on some algorithms so that it defines some kind of a deficiency issues, real-time issues, root cause analysis. All those things is basically done in the digital twin layer. The function layer is something which is beneficial for our operation team. At the end of the day, all this is a beneficial factor for our operation team, so that they diagnose the problem at upfront before even getting an alert. There is some preset algorithm which has been set, so that helps our engineering to design more functionality towards future data center design pods. The management gets an entire console of the KPI as a dashboard. At the same time, we are also publishing to the client where they will have a dashboard, so that they get a clear-cut picture that what has been consumed in terms of temperature, whether it is temperature, humidity, security alert, security breach, everything has been as a dashboard to the client. And third is the planning. So in futuristic planning, we get a control of the entire this thing, and that is where we're saying that we have an AI ML BMS platform which is enabled as a control factor, which is acting as a brain for the entire data center. Yeah. Now, in a nutshell, what we're trying to say is that, see, we have a total approach across pan-India data center. We have a live data center, 14 data centers which are live. We have close to 277 plus megawatt of scalable data center, which is already almost 120 or 140 megawatt of already built, and 160, and the remaining ones are on the build, on the verge of the building. But with the BTS model, where I say BTS model, it is build to suit model, where customers demand for a build to suit model. That's where we engage for multiple clients who would want to have their own in-house data center, and we build data centers for them. Okay, so that's where BTS model comes into picture. We have almost 20 plus edge DCs coming upcoming in the near future. We have a network fabric which is totally engaging the entire pan across India, across data centers. We have an operation excellence, what has been proven for past 20 years, making sure that that is the part of the roadmap which has been delivered. We have a successful story of this. We have a sustainability, as Amit had described, that what is sustainability to typically. So we have a roadmap. We have taken PPA agreement with the power authorities. We are ensuring that with your power tariffs, you also get renewable energy mix as a blended cost. Okay, so with your power unit, you suppose 11 rupees or 10 rupees is a Mumbai unit per unit range. You get a power tariff within an extra verge with the blended cost that comes from the solar and the wind. So that is something which is a blended PPA cost, which is a part of your power unit tariff. And that comes on the monthly billing. So your consumed monthly billing is purely based on the blended cost with the tariff. So that is an added value which gives, and that's a huge, I would say, discount or an optimization from a costing point of view. Okay, managed service is something which is we typically deliver it to end client, where the customers demand for total managed service, which is whether it is a cloud offering, whether it is some kind of extra efforts or application support and all those things. That is where we engage for managed services. AI stack, as we like to said, that we are an NVIDIA DGX certified infrastructure. We have been proven. We have a test case also been built up very soon. We have all the new data centers which has been built up is all AI enabled data center infrastructure, and that allows all the type of GPUs, which is from a liquid cool, immersive cool, and the RDX options too. Yeah, that's a track record which we have been which we have been claiming till now. We have tried, tested, and trusted. That's what I would say. This is the type of services that we are engaged in typically. We have this all these awards, which is as a part of it. We are Gartner Award. We have an IDC awards. We are ensuring all this compliances as a part of the solution. But again, this is something as an award winning which we have done in post. Hey, thanks, team. Thanks.
Thanks, Amit, for that insightful presentation. I think it's very it's clear now that data centers are no longer just support infrastructure. They have to become the very backbone of AI-driven transformation that every company is really aligned for today. Before we move on, we have another quick poll question for all our attendees here. Can we please have it on the screen? All right, so based on what you have heard so far from our CP experts, do you currently operate your own in-house data center? That's a good one. So let's see what our responses are going to be. Okay, so the results are in, and well, 44% out of our attendees say they have partially in-house data centers with some hosted, and 42% have fully in-house. 14%, which is a lesser percentage compared to the others, have it fully outsourced. So that's a good mix of attendees list that we have here. Now, I'm very excited to continue with our next round because we have heard from the providers, and let's now widen the lens and hear from industry leaders as well. So I'm delighted now to welcome our panelists. You have all heard Sojan and Amit. They are joined by Mr. Kamalikanan Subramani, Director IT Services, Zoho Corporation, Mr. Pankaj Ramani, VP Head Enterprise Application Innovation and Transformation at Mphasis, and Dr. Ramkumari Harishankar Iyer, CISO and CIO at Scale Consulting. Welcome all panelists. Can
Thank
we please
you.
have you on cameras here? Yeah. Okay, hi, hello. So,
Hi.
hi, Pankaj. I know we are running a little bit behind on time, so I don't want to get too deep into small talk, even though I would like to. So let's continue with why we are here. Let's just start right in. No, now, Kamal, let me just begin with you here because we heard Sify experts Amit and Sojan talk about the provider side of things, but India has also become a global hub for IT and ITeS. But when it comes to supporting AI workloads, the challenges aren't always the same as in other markets. You'd know that better than anybody else. So, from your experience, what are the infrastructure hurdles that are particularly unique to the Indian context?
Yamini, let me take this as Pankaj here. I mean, from an ITS company, right? Because we, as an organization, we service multiple customers globally. So the challenges are not going to be very different. And in fact, Amit and Sojan talking through what Sify has to offer has actually covered, you know, what Sify is doing, which addresses some of the real challenges that organizations face, right? They're all around your compute power that is required, your scalability, your network and network latency, and all of that, right? Now, one of the biggest challenges that organizations continue to have is also with a lot of legacy applications and legacy infrastructure that is sitting there, some of it kind of going end of life and all of that. And as you need to accelerate or even do POCs with regard to, AI, it becomes necessary to invest in basically building up that infrastructure that would be required even to try out something. And from that perspective, players like Sify who provide this infrastructure become more relevant from the perspective of you having ready to, available solutions or infrastructure on which you can then try out your solutions and can help you uh, fail fast, fail cheap, rather than trying to go through the entire process of investing and then building up something and then being worried about whether it will suffice my need and all of that. You can always look for repatriating at a right time if you feel that basically gives the right business value. But otherwise, you know, um, the challenges will, as I mentioned, continue to remain the same. And one of the other important aspects that kind of also play a role is specifically with regard to the skills of people that are required to manage that infrastructure and all of that, which, it's easier to have a leverage team in a co-hosted data center vis-a-vis something that you do in-house. Yeah. So those are my 2 cents.
Yeah.
Kamal, I would love your take on it, please.
Yeah. As we saw the presentation from Sify, so to add that, see, main challenges now with respect to Indian context, with respect to an AI, what we see is that infra maturity gaps. Globally, a lot of technologies has been being released and announced, but the technology, by the time technology comes to production, if we want to deploy it in our house, then the next technology comes in. That's how AI is into picture. So by the time I buy H100 server and put in that by the time it comes into production, H200 will come in, will be released. By the time I look for H200, then then B200 will be there. B200 will not be available in India, but lot of R&Ds and stuff will be done outside India in B200. That's the main challenge which the global company like Manage Engine and Zogo, our company, face is the infrastructure maturity availability in India. And that is being addressed by the people like Sify, where they invest upfront, and so that rather than we being everything in house, then we can source it from them. And then similarly for say like if I need to build a data center, the modularity comes into a challenge. Modularity in the sense right from the power availability. Now we are speaking about power cooling in general, but if we want to speak about power in particular, then we are speaking about 200 kilowatt. Then what will be the UPS for that, and what will the growth pattern for that? And if do you want to invest all of the things at the day one, then what will happen if tomorrow the technology changes? Now, I mean, UPS are in UPS itself, lot of changes are being done. I mean, now here in data center also, we are moving towards lithium-ion batteries rather than VRLA. So, I mean, we have to, main challenges are like uh, uh, the technology evolution is very fast. So if you want to be secure capex, then you have to be in hybrid, or you have to look at the players, wholesale players, and you have to safeguard the capex so that you would get the technology advancement. Because if you invest today, then at least you have to run that technology for next 5 years. But 5 years, it's too long in that, I mean, for the next technology to come in. So that is one thing I want to understand. The interconnect is the another part. Now we are speaking about AI clusters and GPU clusters. GPU clusters means it's not a single, it's not, we are not talking about single GPU or something. It's a cluster. Cluster in the sense we need to interconnect. And interconnection, it's not going to happen within one city or one data center. We are going to interconnect a lot of cluster between cities and between multiple locations, because we need to bring the data near to the customer. That's what we're looking at. So we need lot of interconnections, faster interconnections, ultra low latency, east-west traffic is what we needed. I mean, northbound traffic bandwidth and all is a challenge in the past, but now the real-time challenge is to speed up the east-west traffic, the traffic between the GPUs, traffic between the clusters, and we need to look at the 400 gigs and 800 gigs interconnects between the data centers. And those two are my real-time challenge with respect to Indian IT companies who look at evolving faster with respect to AI.
That's very well said. And Dr. Iyer, let me have you on board here, because the services industry also is one of the biggest adopters in India of AI to transform operations and customer experience. What is your thoughts on this? How do you see modern data center infrastructure shaping this sector's ability? And also, I noticed we have some questions on security here from our audience. So as a CISO, your thoughts on that, please.
So thanks for the opportunity first. So I was hearing about the infrastructure and the data center, the modern data centers, how it is getting enabled and what Sify is offering and other things. So that's all really quite good. But in the services industry, one of my colleague was mentioning that we cater to multiple different clients of different regions. So it different regions as well as different domains, verticals, right? Retail and other things. So we need to understand about the kind of industry level first. And second thing is about most of the infrastructure is completely gone into the kind of an application packages today. So it is all deployed as a code. So DevSecOps, privacy, AIOps is coming in picture, in fact. So when it is deployed as a code, predominantly we have to really work upon and be very versatile about the kind of an availability and a security perspective, because these two things really keep up all the kind of a businesses on the kind of a limelight. That is very important. Second is whatever today, I think I also saw that there are a lot of companies still not being in the kind of an outsourcing model, or they're in the hybrid. Why? So typically, people doesn't have the kind of a completely trust on the kind of a service providers. That is still not there. At least from the India perspective, maybe from the foreign Western countries, if you have certifications, people understand that. But in Indian context, I think still it is evolving. It is has to reach its maturity level. There are a lot of gaps in it. And same thing is as a kid of so I am telling. So now everything as an infrastructure is deployed as a code. So now application security is being given a higher weightage today. It is never ever kind of optional or anything. So it has become a kind of a mandate. So by design, if you are trying to do it, bring the kind of a security and privacy, which keeps you complete limelight of your availability and capacity resilience into the market. That is one of the very key things for the service providers today, because they have to be very competitive and agile in the market. So it is agile security is very important. And second is people think that security means is vulnerability testing. It's not only that. There are many such kind of factors which you need to incorporate as part of the security. That all key things, I think it's a bigger story altogether. We don't have that much time. But please make sure that that typical checkpoints is being done as part of the entire SSDLC life cycle, and keep that as a kind of important point. Second, third point which I wanted to bring it is, as we are going to agile and other things, not only security. So today, many such kind of things are there. India as an outsourcing provider, I think we cater to different regions and different regulatory methodologies and other things. And there are many such kind of a base patterns available from the principles, which we have to really map it across and then see that what are the incremental which respect the different countries. Because I worked with Infi, Wipro, TCS, IBM, MFX, all this was service provider, and now my current company is also kind of a service provider. We cater to multiple different kind of a clients. So I talk in that kind of a sense as not from the typical my company perspective, but I have to really worry about my client and clients' customers. That is very important, because the data is with us, and how we are protecting the data from the kind of compliance. Compliance is not from the checklist perspective. Compliance is actually what you are maintaining and controlling it on the kind of data, typical data classification, as well as data categorization, and how you are really controlling the kind of data leakages outside. It's very important. And while you are adopting this, there are a couple of privacy parameters which comes as a kind of a conflict to security also. For example, biometric. Biometric is very important from the security, but biometric is also another conflict factor from privacy, because it captures many of my parameters. So how I'm going to adopt to my privacy. So there are many such kind of conflicts which we have to really deal with. These are the kind of challenges as a kind of a CIO, CDO, CISO, CRO kind of a role which we play. Makes a lot of things need to keep up our tab on the kind of a role to meet up with our expectations and the clients' customers, because they want everything faster. When you want to do faster, it is not that you omit many of the things and go faster, then you will not be stable in the market. So you have to at least have a basic minimum hybrid hygiene parameters to be there. So this couple of things which we have to really keep in mind while we are doing it. Complete, and of course, not the least, there are many legacy systems. I've worked with some of the banks in Middle East. There are many legacy systems which we do it, and we wanted to convert that as a transformation of DevOps philosophy. But some of the legacy systems cannot adopt to that. How are we dealing with it? I come across a basic many challenges into it. We do it phase wise, and then we try to integrate. We try to remove the duplicates. There are all the parameters. So whatever we talk about IT for IT, all the frameworks comes into picture, and we have to integrate that and put it across. This is one of the key parameter for us to really go across. But AI is really helping in terms of scalability, in terms of improving our workflows faster, better quality and accuracy. At the same time, it is bringing double the threats to me as an CISO. So we have to be really be very careful and proactive enough when we are using and bringing AI into a system with proper due diligence of our ecosystem, of our project, of our business, and integrate that in a proper way. So that's my 2 cents or 3 cents, whatever I wanted to bring to the table.
No, that's absolutely right. And I believe the security aspect will probably take us another webinar, because it's just so vast and important. But so then let me bring you here, because you've heard these industry challenges. They're straight from the horse's mouth, with hybrid adoption, service scaling, gaps in readiness. So how are you as a provider helping these enterprises manage hybrid cloud and edge workloads without compromising on latency and security?
So, typically a nice subject because we have been hearing this often. And what has typically been drawn for expediting for us to provide a solution, valuable solution. The enterprise segments are very niche in terms of the requirement. They have a prerequisites on the security aspect, on the networking aspect, and the costing is something which is primarily a focus. So latency or networking and the security aspect is a prime niche which is typically. So what we do is that we cluster those kind of a segment at the point of area. Latency, how do we avoid is that this benchmarks has been done because of the latency, where we are saying that we're hosting this cloud place today. All these enterprise segments are connected to this common clouds, typically an Azure cloud, or it could be an AWS cloud, or a standalone cloud. So, or it could be an kind of a agency where it could be an NSC, it could be a banking, RBI, or all those agency. So what we are ensuring is that we are well connected to them, and we are ensuring that way the minimal hop. So minimal hop with a software integration in the network that avoids a lot minimal hop and best available latency which can take it to the table. And the cross connect, so it doesn't have to route it through multiple hops through multiple carriers. It has to be directly, it's coming from a one floor to another floor, or it could be one building to another building. So it is a direct fiber connect to between one building. So that is where we are minimalizing the entire network latency across this enterprise segment. From a power and AI perspective, since we have handled hyperscaler segments, we are well, I would say, occupied with, or the design model is well occupied and flexible to ensure that this enables the data center flexibility, whether it is a 6 kilowatt per rack or a 20 kilowatt per rack with the PUE efficiency. But typically, I got a lot of questions with regard to PUE. So PUE is something which has typically been answered or typically been factored. So till date, we have been factoring 1.4, 1.5 because that's the typical umbrella or typical benchmark in Indian industry. And when it comes to operational PUE, it reaches up to 1.6, 1.7. Being Mumbai as a region with this RDHX and the liquid cooling solution, that is where the PUE gets an kind of a verge, because the mechanical element is something which is only a major part holder of the PUE aspect. So that is the second segment where we touch base on the PUE and making sure that the availability or the cooling aspect has been catered. Third aspect, what we have typically been understanding is their security aspect. Okay, I've got a lot of questions from the security. How were we driving security? See, today we are claiming, or we are ensuring that all our designs are being certified and compliant as per industry standards, whether it comes to PCI for banking finance customers, for ISO compliant for most of the quality related works, security for ISO 27001, data center infrastructure, which is the rated TI 942 or maybe rated 3 or rated 4. We are also going with green belts, greenhouse, what's a green data center certification, which is IGBC platinum data center certification. So this is basically confronting and comparing, making sure that we are compliant in order to ensure that we are not being able to factor the future requirements and making sure it is a secured and a compliant infrastructure. I hope that, yeah.
Fascinating. I'm just going to pause here for a very few seconds for our attendees to share their thoughts. We have 3 quick poll questions for you. Can we have them, please? All right. So number 1, what kind of infrastructure are you currently using or planning to use for AI training and inferencing? I think that's going to be interesting. We also want to ask you what matters most to you when selecting a data center partner for AI or general workloads. And are you planning to migrate or expand your AI or general workloads to a co-location or hybrid cloud data center within the next 12 months? While we have our attendees answer, I know we're a little bit behind time, but I would request everybody to please stay till the end of the webinar. We may extend it for a few more minutes just to have more perspectives on board from our panelists, from our attendees to take up your questions. So please stay till the end. We may have to extend it for another 5 to 10 minutes. I hope that's okay with everyone. Okay, so let's see what the responses are. It's a tough fight between hyperscale public cloud, AWS, Azure, GCP, and private or hybrid cloud. Only 7% are not sure yet, so the rest have their minds set on something at least. So what matters most for our attendees? Energy efficiency and cost optimization. Cost optimization is at the top here. That's expected. And are you planning to migrate or expand your AI? Well, 36% do not have any plans currently, but 34%, that's an almost equal number of percentage, are actively exploring. So I think we have a very good idea of where our attendees are in their journeys. Okay, coming back to our questions. Now we have heard everybody speak on the challenges, and I want to again raise it to Pankaj now. We are a little bit short on time, so I'll request all our panelists to be brief in the responses, but we do want to hear your perspectives here. Now, Pankaj, we are seeing enterprises run AI everywhere. Some are in the cloud, some at the edge, some still on-prem. We've heard our attendees talk about, or rather, pick the choice of where their cloud, their data is. In your view, how much does seamless interconnectivity between these environments matter to get the full value out of AI?
I mean, Kamalakan already mentioned about it. Interconnectivity is going to be super critical. Earlier, and the biggest challenge that you get into is earlier the workflows were typically designed for direct human kind of workflows, but when it comes to AI, you expect the AI agents to connect with multiple applications based on their own, uh, you know, in an autonomous manner. And that basically means that one, you need to have minimal latency, proximity, speed has got to be very, critical. And last but not the least, security and your access control plays a very, very important role, because sometimes you want to avoid to make sure that your agents get access to the only the right information and in the right way. So uh, if I were to summarize, the foundational requirement for the AI workloads to work perfectly well is the right kind of interconnectivity to ensure that it is agile, it meets compliance requirements, and also the operations is resilient. Yeah.
Perfect. Kamal, let me bring this to you now, because Zoho has scaled IT services on a massive level. We've known that for years. When you look back at that journey, what are some of the lessons that you have picked up that could help other enterprises as they prepare for their infrastructure?
Yeah, I mean, we have seen a lot of transformations in IT services. So from a physical machines, we have moved a lot of things to virtual environment, and while moving to a virtual environment, we learned a lot. Now we are scaling up to IT workloads. So the main lesson we learned, or we should emphasize here, is we need to standardize all the things what we do. We need to standardize the process, and we need to come up with the operational discipline. And then we have to, while building a workload, or while building infrastructure, or designing an infrastructure, we need to keep modularity. We need to keep the modularity in mind. How we can do it, like is once we divide what we do, we have to divide into two sets, like one set of infra which we need it immediately, and one set of infra which we can scale up later. For example, as Sojan and Amit said, they have built a data center. They are building a data center with a floor loading capacity which is more than 2000 square meter, 2000 kg per square meter. Those things should be planned in the day one itself. It can't be planned later, or it can't be considered as a modular thing and done later. So we have to divide the things, and we have to plan few things in a day one and construct for later, and few things we have to do it as and when we need, so that we will not lose out the technological advantages. So that if a new technology comes in, we need not worry about what we invested last year. So we have to decide and with a operational discipline, we have to think about dividing the two things, and we have to invest on our planning and architecture, everything on that. And while building the infrastructure, rather than building it for our peak need or peak usage, we have to build it for elasticity, so that we have to horizontally scale it, and whenever needed we can scale it, because whatever we are going to invest in AI, it will be capex intensive. So we can't invest a lot of we can't put lot of investment in today, and we can't keep the resources ideal for longer. At the same time, we need to have plans to add up resources whenever we need. So these are the things we need to what we learned in the past IT services which we have done in Zogo.
That's very interesting. And, I wish I had more time to ask more questions. I have a long list for all of you. But in the interest of time, I want to move ahead and get our audience on board again. So another poll question for our audience is here. Okay, what's your biggest challenge in deploying AI workloads? We heard from the industry leaders. It's only fair to hear what our delegates are also saying. Okay, I think we can have the answers now.
Can you just give it a couple of seconds more, please? Because I see people answering.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so drum roll, please. What is? There you go. Security and compliance. We spoke at length about that in our conversation earlier, and I think that was very relevant of all our attendees, of all our panelists here, because 31% of our attendees have attributed it to be the biggest challenge in deploying AI workloads, followed by lack of skilled talent, high compute costs, and infrastructure bottlenecks. That's interesting. That's very interesting. All right, now, it's very exciting, to be honest, where we are right now and where we can go with AI and data centers accompanying them. So thank you to all audience for these excellent questions, and a special thanks to our panelists for the thoughtful discussion. What stood out for me was the emphasis on building facilities that are AI ready, resilient, like Pankaj said, sustainable and interconnected, like Kamal and Dr. Iyer agreed. So capabilities that are essential as enterprises reimagine their service delivery models. Now, as we're wrapping this up, I have to mention that any good product or service thrives on feedback. So attendees, here's your chance. May I please request you all to share your thoughts in the poll questions again. And if there are any other questions, please drop them in the Q&A box. Okay, I see all of them have been answered very well. So Krita, can we please have the poll questions again? All right, please scroll down because we have 3 questions for you here. Getting some feedback on the chat window also. Thank you all for sharing. Thanks, Rahul. All right, so this brings us to the end of our webinar today. If there are any more questions, please feel free to reach out to the Sify team or ISMG, and we'll be sure to get to as many as we can offline. Thank you so much for making the time on behalf of Sify Technologies and ISMG. We are really grateful that you could join us today. We look forward to continuing these conversations with you also. Have a great day and a great weekend. Thank you.
Hey,
Thanks,
thanks.
everyone. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.